Welcome to Inside the Audition, the podcast where we go behind the scenes for a deep dive look into the world of auditions. I'm Joe Lars Larson, creator of Actors Audition Club, an international community helping actors book your dream roles in TV, film, and theater.
And I'm Brandon Knox, actor, producer, and co-host. Each episode, we chat with actors and industry professionals to share their audition experiences, insights, and advice.
We provide actors with actionable tips, strategies, and resources to help you elevate your auditions.
We demystify the often intimidating and misunderstood world of auditions to help you succeed.
So whether you're just starting out on your acting journey or you're a seasoned pro, join our Actors Audition Club members as we go
Inside the Audition.
Well, hello, Internet land. Welcome to Inside the Audition. This is episode 128. I'm Joe Lars Larson, and here my co-host up on the Danforth in Toronto, the sleepy Brandon Knox.
Yes, very sleepy.
How are you?
I am very good. Very, very good. I'm sleepy. Very
If at
sleepy.
some point you see Brandon's eyes closed and he just falls out of frame, it's because he spent last night on a night shoot. We're going to get to it. We're going to talk about that. Yeah. But welcome everyone on Facebook. Welcome everyone on YouTube. Make sure if you're watching this live right now, smash that share button. Share it with your network of actors. Everyone needs a little help with their careers and with their auditions. So you can be the person to be sharing good stuff, positivity, tips, tricks, resources, strategies, all those kind of things to help people elevate their auditions. And in today's episode, we're going to do, it's a little bit of a review, but I think it's something that everyone needs to review every once in a while. We're going to talk all about audition checklists, meaning when you get an audition from your agent to the time that you shoot it, what do you actually do? Professionals follow checklists. They follow a system. So we're going to review a sample audition checklist with everyone today. But first, I want you to share a little bit about what you've just gone through. Brandon was crewing on a night shoot for the last couple of days. So why don't you share your behind the scenes and behind the camera experience?
So I was a camera PA for a production, a short film called Howlin' Circus, directed by Actors Audition Club's own Adam Daniel Mazzei. And that was such a fantastic experience. The crew was so welcoming and so willing to help each other and just like so gung-ho to be there. And it was just such a fantastic experience for everyone. And like, it was such a great learning experience for me because I had never worked a crew before. And that's why I asked Adam if I could hop on this production. I really wanted to learn more about the camera angles and understand everything that goes on behind the scenes and have more of an appreciation for what goes into it, because I didn't have that appreciation before. And I very much do now. Like the focus pulling on camera and how effective it needs to be. And the person that was operating it, his name was Jason Lynn, such a fantastic assistant camera. Like he was able to get both cameras ready within 5 minutes almost every single time. And like watching him like deconstruct a camera and then reconstruct it within such a short amount of time was just fascinating to watch. And like seeing how they set up their shots and how everything goes, like how the pudding gets made. Like you want to see, or I guess the sausage, you want to see how the sausage gets made. Right. And it was so fascinating to watch. When I was on Sunset Superman, I don't know if I've ever actually revealed the title, so I may have to edit that out. But when I was on a feature film this summer as a supporting lead, I watched Michael Jai White, who was the creator of Black Dynamite. He was Spawn in Spawn. He has done hundreds and hundreds of films. And the thing that I saw it impressed me the most and made me want to emulate it, and made me want to emulate him, was the fact that he knew all the shots that were going on. He knew how they were going to be shot, and he knew what needed to be done as the actor to get those shots done in the most effective time possible. And that's what really, really impressed me about him. And I really want to emulate that as a performer. And that's why I signed on to do this film. And I couldn't be happier that I've done it. And I want to do it more.
Yeah, that's amazing. I mean, so many actors out there, they're working to get on camera, and they're working to book acting roles. And then to support themselves, they're doing all these Joe jobs, often soul-sucking things that they don't want to do. But anytime you have an opportunity to get on set, even if it's just as a PA or craft services or locations, like literally anything, I think for most actors, any manner of being on set and being part of that production is going to serve you more than being in a call center or working at a bank or being a server. I mean, you got to do what you got to do, but I think a lot of people don't explore those opportunities. So they spend all their time being an actor, working to get on set, and then all the time when they're not doing that, they're in something completely unrelated. So all that time spent doing that unrelated career isn't serving them and isn't moving them forward. Whereas you go work on that, you're learning things about production that are going to inform you as an actor next time you're acting in a production. Obviously, you're learning the production things so that when you're on the production crew side again, you're going to be better at that. And the biggest thing probably is you're making connections while you're networking, or you're building connections in your network of other actors and other filmmakers. And you're getting to have positive experiences with them so that next time someone on that crew is casting something, or one of those actors is in another production, they've met Brandon. Yeah, they didn't meet you as an actor, but I'm sure they know you're an actor by the end of the shoot. So, and they get to know you as a person, get to know your good vibes, get to see that you're a fun person to work with. So that's all something that could help you later on when the opportunity comes up to work on something else. So that's huge.
And what was great? Sorry.
Go ahead. No, go ahead.
And what was great is that because it was such a small crew, like by the end of day 2, I like on the first day, I didn't touch a camera. I was just making sure that the slate was done and that sort of capacity. But by the end of day 2, I was helping change out lenses. I was making sure that things were set up properly. I was helping them move camera from one spot to the other. And that was such a great experience, going from the day 1 where I had no idea what was going on to day 2 where I was starting to really get a hold of it. And
right.
Am I there fully? No. But it was such a interesting experience and such a valuable experience. And I do recommend that every actor do this, because it's so important to see the other side of it.
Yeah, and shout out to Adam Daniel Mazet for taking the steps to, I think he wrote it as well too, did he? Or co-wrote it, and he was directing and producing. He actually used the studio here. He rented out the studio for some of his rehearsals with his actors as well, which is also great. Most times on TV and films, often there isn't any kind of rehearsal period. So those actors were really lucky to have several hours here at the studio to rehearse and work over the scenes. Any fun stories? Any mishaps? Any happy accidents? Any highlights? I know you can't share. You can't share script stuff or plot points, but
maybe give me maybe a couple more days to digest before.
Okay. Yeah. It was a night shoot that finished at 8 a.m. today, so Brandon's on a few hours nap right now. I love what you mentioned about Michael Jai White. I think as an actor, we talk about this a lot. You want to be solutions to people's problems, or in Tom Todoroff's class, he'll often mention you want to be a partner and not a project. So you want to be that helper person. So as an actor, if you go beyond just being the actor and being clueless about any of the crew stuff, where all of a sudden you know some of the equipment, you know some of the lingo, it just informs you, and you can go from actor, just strictly actor. I think there's different levels. There's actors who are just actors, that's it. Then there's actors who are actors / writers. They have an actor / writer brain, so they understand plot, they understand story, they understand arcs. They're able, when they need to, they're able to think like a writer. So if they have to improvise something, they're able to quickly come up with a line that's going to make sense. And then there's actor / producers as well, where, or even actor / directors, where when you're on set, yeah, you're an actor and you're in the moment as an actor, but you're also thinking as a producer, you're thinking as a director, you're able to solve some of those problems. And really, what that means is you're being a true top level collaborator. I noticed that the day that I did on C a few years ago with Jason Momoa's big show C, I think he is an executive producer on it, but it was, even if you didn't know that, it was very clear, because he would come to set, he would do his scenes, we do the scene between action and cut, and then he would go away to Video Village. He'd talk to the DOP, talk to the director. They'd figure things out. You could kind of see them figuring out camera angles, figuring out where he's going to come from. But it was just a whole next level of being a filmmaker. You could really tell, like, this was his show. Yeah, he's the star of it, but he's also producing it and creating it, and he's in the loop with all the departments, which is huge, because that makes him way more valuable than just a hired gun actor who doesn't know anything about that. So congrats. Was that your first time crewing?
Yes. Yeah, it was.
Nice. And you want to do it again?
Oh yeah, I'm definitely going to do it again.
Sweet. Well, yeah, shout out to Adam and to everyone involved. So we'll look forward to it. Any idea when it's going to be finished?
No, not currently.
No. Cool. Also, something that we should just do a shout out. There's many people, I'm not going to hit all their names, but one person in particular, two people in particular. The Canadian Screen Awards just came out with their nominations, and our guest from a couple weeks ago, Julius Cho, I just saw on his Instagram that he was nominated for one of the animation shows that he's in, or the animated shows, the cartoon. He's nominated for a Canadian Screen Award. So congratulations to Julius.
Yeah.
Also, who else did I see was nominated? Dave Merhej, who's a fantastic stand-up comedian and actor. He was nominated for one of his recent specials as a comedy / variety show. Melanie Orr was nominated for, I believe, Children Ruin Everything. She was a director on that. And I worked with her on Oh Yuck several years ago. She was a fantastic director. Loved working with her. So it's great. We've got, and there's the list goes on and on. There's dozens and dozens of people that we know in the industry here in Toronto and across Canada who've been nominated for the Canadian Screen Awards, which is like our Canada's Oscars, or Canada's Golden Globes, I guess is what you'd probably call them. So congrats to all those nominees, and we'll stay tuned for the winners. But it's great to see people succeeding, and we always talk about how rising tide lifts all boats. So congrats to all those people. We love being a part of your careers and helping with your auditions and helping you get those bookings. And speaking of that, anyone out there who's listening, watching right now, if you are struggling with your auditions, or you're just looking to elevate things and you're looking to figure out how you can improve your auditions and improve your results and book more roles in TV, film, and theater, you can get instant access to our Audition Hero workshop. We did a live 3-day workshop a few months ago. And if you missed that, you can get instant access to that. And you can learn how one actor went from stressful DIY self-tapes to booking a role in a Hollywood blockbuster plus 2 series leads all in the course of 1 year. And you get access to that by going to laughingvikings.com/auditionhero, and you get instant access to those workshop videos. So once again, laughingvikings.com/auditionhero to hook on board with that workshop, and you can catch up there. Now, so for today's episode, we want to review something that I think is really important, and that I think a lot of actors overlook it. I know that I overlooked this for a long time, and that's the idea of following a system and a checklist every time you get auditions. Professionals across every industry, and we always use the same examples, but I'll use the example of a surgeon. A surgeon is following a checklist. A pilot is following a checklist. And just imagine you went into surgery and you got the sense that your doctor was just kind of winging it. And he just came in, oh, okay, so what are we doing today? And then at the end, he was like, oh, crap, I forgot to disinfect my hands before I open this guy up. Or, oh, shoot, did we remove all the instruments from that guy's body before we I think oh crap, I think I forgot the scalpel inside him. Or a pilot, imagine a pilot not following a checklist. Yeah, even if you've done something 1,000 times, there's going to be a certain level of it being up here in your head, but we're human beings. We get tired, we get distracted. And imagine a pilot being like, oh shoot, we're about to land. Did I lower the wheels? Are the wheels down? I hope the wheels are down because we're about to land. Oh crap. You know what? I think, I got distracted. Maybe I didn't lower the wheels like that. It would be disastrous. So there's a reason why every profession, you think about engineers and architects building a high-rise building, you can't do things out of order. You do things out of order if things are built on a shaky foundation and things are going to collapse. So what we really encourage people to do is develop your own audition checklist so that you can really just go into autopilot mode. When you get an audition from your agent, you get that email or something that you got on your own, you can go into checklist mode like a professional and do all of the things that you need to do as a professional that will result in your best audition possible for you at that time, which is all we can really do. We can only on our end be our best so that we raise our chances of booking that role. And there's a million reasons why you don't book the role, even if you had a great performance in your audition. But the thing that you don't ever want is you don't want to be thinking, oh, did I miss something? Did I put in the work? Did I spend the time? Did I overlook anything? Was there something not there? And that can happen if you're not following a system, if you're not, especially if you're feeling rushed or if you're doing it different every time. I think that's something that I struggled with. Sometimes I would spend a little bit of time. Sometimes I would spend a lot of time. Sometimes it'd be a few days. Sometimes it'd be a few hours. I was kind of half-assing it, whereas now I'm getting closer and closer to doing the same things and following that system. So we're gonna throw this up. This is a document we're gonna share here on screen. If any of you want to get a copy of this, just shoot us a DM on Instagram at Actors Audition Club, or you can email us lol@laughingvikings.com. And this is a template, an outline, but what we encourage you to do is use this as a jumping off point so that if you want an example, use this, but develop your own system. You want to get into your own sweet spot and your own rhythms and your own processes. So what we're going to show you, this is an example that you can complete when you get your audition requests, and something that's going to save you time because it's going to be repeatable. It's going to reduce your stress and anxiety, improve your preparation, and ultimately result in stronger auditions. So that you can maximize every audition. Again, just like the reminder that we always tell people is, yeah, you want your career to go well over the long haul. And if you want to be an actor, you should be committed to this for 10 years, 20 years, 30 years. Like this is a lifetime game for you. But that being said, your life can change entirely the drop of a hat with one audition. That could happen tomorrow. That could happen next week. So yeah, you want to be committed to that long haul, but also you want to be open to those magical miracles of the right actor and the right role, lightning in a bottle, boom, your life and your career changes forever, which means you want to maximize and you want to take advantage of every opportunity that you have. And if you're missing these opportunities because you half-ass things or you're kind of winging it every time, you want to second guess and think, oh shit, did I just lose out on a series lead that would have changed my life and my family's life and maybe even my kids' life because I landed this massive role that became a huge stepping stone? You don't ever want to be thinking that. So we've broken this down into 3 sections: pre-audition, audition, and post audition. So Brandon and I are going to walk you through this checklist. We'll walk and talk. Feel free in the comments, those of you who are watching live right now, if you have any other things that you think we're missing that you like to include in your checklist, reach out and let us know in the comments live, and we can add that to the checklist in future. So scroll up to that pre-audition. So what I like to do right away, I get the email from my agent. Immediately, I schedule when am I going to shoot that audition. And what that does is it kind of sets a ticking clock. It makes me committed as well. What I used to do is I used to look at the deadline. So say it's Thursday afternoon, the deadline's Tuesday morning. So I know I have Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday. What I kind of used to do is I just know in the back of my head, okay, it's due Tuesday. And be like, when am I going to do this? Okay, I got to do it sometime before Tuesday. But then I would lose Friday, I would lose Saturday, I would lose Sunday, and all of a sudden it's Monday, and I'm like, oh shit, I got to get this done. Versus what I do now is I get it on a Thursday. I know it's due Tuesday, so I'll schedule it immediately. Maybe I want a few days to work on it. I don't want to be rushing it and saving it to the end. So maybe I say, you know what, I want to shoot this Sunday evening. Or Monday morning. So I've got an extra 24 hours, 48 hours before the deadline, but schedule it right away. So for us, members of Actors Audition Club, I go to laughingvikings.com/auditions. I hop on there. I choose a session director. I choose the date, the time. Then I know on Thursday, okay, I'm shooting this Sunday night at 7 with Brandon. And then I know that I got to get everything done before then. So I'm not just winging it and kind of feeling it out through the weekend. Cool. Yeah, that makes sense. I don't know if there's I don't think there's anything else to add there, but just setting it up so you know immediately, and that relieves a lot of stress. It relieves a lot of anxiety where you're not wondering and thinking, especially for people who don't have a go-to studio like Actors Audition Club. If every time you got to find a different family member and a different friend in a different place, and you always never know how you're going to get this done, you got to get that scheduled. And if you do that right away, you call your go-to person, you know where you're going to shoot it, you know when you're going to shoot it, and it just relieves all that stress, and you know exactly what you're going to be doing. Next, Brandon, you want to go over number 2 there?
Yep. Did you schedule your text analysis, warm-up, rehearsal block times? Now, for me, I always like to work at night. So let's go with the analogy of you get this audition Thursday afternoon, and it's due Tuesday morning. What I would probably do is I would schedule to start doing some text analysis that night. So around like 8 p.m., 9 p.m., just do an hour of work, just working on the script, just going over each thing and things that pop out at me, things that I find important, things that I find interesting about that script. And then I would probably put it down, and then I would sleep on it for a night, and then I would go back to it the next night. And then that's when I would start my rehearsal process and like start going over it and start rehearsing slowly, just so that I understood the beginning and I was rehearing everything that I was saying. And then I would if we're scheduling this for Monday morning or Sunday night, I would make sure that I schedule myself a nice vocal warm-up for a couple hours before the session or a couple hours before you shoot this. So that way you're warmed up, you're ready to go, you're feeling like you're in your body. You've worked on this for the last couple days, and it's in your body. You've slept on the material, and now you're ready to go, and now you're ready to shoot. And just making sure that those steps are done, so that way when you get to that day and you get to that time when you have scheduled to do this, to shoot the audition, you're ready. You know exactly what you've done. You've done all your prep. You've done everything that you need to do, and now you're just ready to focus and be in the zone for that audition.
Right. And those two things, like they're just scheduling that stuff immediately sets you up for success. One of my business mentors a long time ago in the corporate world always used to say, what doesn't get scheduled doesn't get done. So if training or reviews or sales calls or whatever it would be in the business world isn't in your calendar, then likely it's not going to get done. And there's a big trap out there I don't want to call anyone out in particular, but I think we've all done this. I've done this, where in my head, my goal and my aspiration is to be a full-time actor, to work in TV, film, and theater. But maybe you have a 9-to-5 job, maybe you have family commitments, you have all that stuff. And that's got to get done. If you have a 9-to-5 job that you're using to pay the bills, you probably need to show up to that. But if you ignore scheduling your audition time and you're just squeezing that in kind of whenever, you're focusing on the wrong thing. The thing that you want to be is an actor. Especially if that's your dream, if your goal is to be full-time actor, I want to work in this business, you can't get distracted by things that aren't your a priority. Now, family, obviously, family and spouse and children, that probably is going to take a priority notch above your acting, but is your acting stuff scheduled right after that? So if you know, I got to take the kids to swimming and I got a night out with my partner that night for a date. Well, when are you scheduling your prep time and when are you scheduling your audition time around that? Because if you don't do that, then you're always going to be stuck and you're going to wonder, well, I never broke through. So after you schedule everything, I think a great first step is to research the production. So in the breakdown, figure out who the writer/creator is, the producers, the directors, look them up on IMDb, look them up on IMDb Pro, figure out what world they write in. Often you can see, like, if everything that this person is doing is wacky screwball comedy, or it's dark comedy, or it's all criminal procedural type stuff, Law and Order type stuff, the world that it lives in. And I'll pair the next one with this one under research is watching an episode or watching some previous work so that you get a feel for the world and the tone of the show. For example, a comedy like What We Do in the Shadows. You watch that show, it's a show that is very different and really exists in a world of its own. Or a show like Ghosts. If you don't watch an episode of Ghosts or figure out what's going on in Ghosts, a lot of the characters, if you're a real life person in Ghosts, you may not be seeing other characters that are ghosts. There's one character who can see all the ghosts. So if you don't watch that and then you prep your audition like you're reacting and seeing all these ghosts, but you're not supposed to. Or the other example is the series C, where everyone in the entire world was blind and could not see except for two of the main characters. If you didn't figure that out, you're done in 5 seconds when you audition as a person who has functioning eyes and is visually reacting to everything like a sighted person would be. So you miss those research steps and you're just not in the world. It also just shows too, if you flip it, if I'm a writer, producer, creator, and I'm the auditioner or I'm the casting person, and all of a sudden I get a sense that this person has no fucking clue what they're even auditioning for, even if they do have a great performance. It's going to be hard to have a great performance if you don't know the tone. Or another example is a show like Fargo. It's a really specific tone. People have a specific energy level. Sometimes they have specific accents and just a vibe about it. And you miss that and you're sort of dead in the water. So do your research on writers, creators, producers, directors. Watch an episode. If it's a pilot episode, that's going to be more difficult if it's brand new, but that's where you look up the writer, look up the creator, get a feel and a vibe for other types of projects that they've done, and that might inform this one. Make sense?
Yep.
Anything you want to add to that?
No.
Okay.
Did you write out your script? Drop punctuation and critical stage directions. For me, it's always very helpful and always part of my first initial process, especially when I'm doing text analysis and beginning rehearsals, to write out and hand write out the script. I have a notebook dedicated to my audition scripts that I just write out all the lines. I cut out most of the stage directions unless it's incredibly crucial that I have it in there.
Right.
And it is an initial start for me so that I have the words and I understand what's going on in the scene and I understand the flow of what's going on. Because if you can write it out, and like there's people that prefer to type it out, like, and that's for them. And each process is unique to you. So whatever is there for you, make sure that you're doing that, especially in that first initial write out. Or if you just prefer to have a printed script, that's completely understandable. But just make sure that you're making it your own, making sure that you're making notes for yourself, making sure that you're writing down. If you study the guideposts by Michael Shirtliff, make sure you're writing out the guideposts. And so that you have different choices that you can go to when you really begin to get up with your rehearsal process when you're doing this audition. Make sure that that's going on. And that way you have something that is uniquely yours. Okay?
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. And just to clarify on stage directions, you might not be deleting all stage directions, but often there's a lot in there, like he raises an eyebrow, he sighs, or they just, it's the writer trying to help out the actor. The challenge and the trap is if you follow that beat by beat and move by move, and they watch 100 of them, everyone is, oh, this is where they roll their eyes, this is where they raise their eyebrow, this is where they sigh, this is where they clear their throat, and it can become very predictable. Certain stage directions, like he raises the gun, or he drops to the floor, potentially, like just there might be a handful of things that without them the scene doesn't make sense, so you got to figure that stuff out. But some of the little ones, even things like sitting and standing, chances are in an audition, whether you sit or stand, the viewer is going to be seeing a medium shot here, so you don't need to sit and stand 4 times during your audition for them to get the point. So just be aware of that. And I think what it can do, especially combined with dropping, and the same thing with punctuation, if you play every period like a pause and every comma like a smaller pause, or sometimes people, if you're visual learners, or if you like kind of a photographic memory, a lot of times people will see the script in their brain, and there might be a chunk of dialogue and then a chunk of stage directions and a chunk of dialogue that is still yours, like your own little monologue, but it's broken up by stage directions. Often, if you haven't removed those stage directions, you'll play a pause there when there's no justification for a pause. Your first chunk of dialogue just runs into the next dialogue, and the stage directions explaining about what other characters are happening, or some of the blocking or things like that. It's not really meant to be a pause, but our brains see a gap in the script and think, oh, here's where I take a few beats pause, when really the energy and the emotion of that little chunk of dialogue needed to continue driving forward. There was no real justification for a pause there. And what I think what this does is, when you do drop some of the punctuation, or at least don't play the punctuation, and you drop some of the non-critical stage directions, your audition naturally will stand out, because you're not playing every beat like every other actor is playing. And part of auditioning is figuring out how to be truthful to the script, but also and be true to yourself, and show your natural skills and abilities, but also stand out. So how do you differentiate yourself? Well, one way to differentiate yourself is not play all the punctuation in every stage direction exactly as it's written, beat by beat. Next, I like to start thinking about wardrobe. Maybe I don't do this right away, but I start to have an idea, and being specific, some specific wardrobe choices, and hinting at the character. Yeah, if you're playing a knight, you don't need to have a full suit of armor, obviously. But if it's a period piece, you got to be thinking, okay, I'm not going to be wearing a Nike shirt with a big fucking Nike swoosh on it if I'm supposed to be in the 1800s, or if you're playing blue collar versus white collar. I just like to start getting my wardrobe and start having some ideas. Sometimes I don't have. Like the other day I was playing a coach, sports coach, and I didn't really have like a sporty jacket, so I went to Value Village and just got like a windbreaker warm-up type sports jacket that I would be wearing, so that all of a sudden now I look like a coach. So if you need to do that stuff, do it in advance and be thinking about it rather than saving it for the day.
Cool. Did you rehearse till you can't get it wrong? Did you do it 50 times, 100 times, 250 times, different ways? As Tom Todoroff likes to say, we want to remember to forget. We want to do it so many times that it's completely in our body, so that way when you show up to do your audition for whatever amount of time that you've allotted for it, that you're ready to go and that you're just playing. That you're just playing around with it when you get that other person to be your reader, and you're just having fun. And the more you're having fun, the better it's going to be. As Tom Todoroff likes to say, it's a play. It's not a serious, right? We want to be playing around with the script when we get to that audition, so that way we are just having fun with it. And that comes from doing it 250 ways, doing it while you're doing laundry, doing it while you're doing the dishes, doing it while you're walking the dog, listening to it constantly as a pre-recorded, almost like podcast style. That way it's just continuously in your brain and continuously churning. And like the more you hear things, the more you're going to uncover and the more you're going to discover about that script. And the better it's going to serve you in the long run when you do get to that audition, and you're submitting a completely unique tape that's so uniquely yours that you don't care what happens to it. You're just satisfied that you put in the work and that it's out there for people to see now.
Right. And one of the recommendations from Tom's class was one of these little clickers here, so that you can actually be counting how many times you've gone through it, so you know. And it's I think we always overestimate how much we've prepped. Like in our head, we think, oh, I've spent hours and hours on this, and you've actually only run it 15 times.
Yeah.
And so all this prep, if you look at this right now, even if you did nothing more, you think of someone who does these, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 things versus someone who doesn't. Think about how much more prepared they are. And the thing that you mentioned too about doing it right away the first night, I always find the more I prep, the more I discover things. It is funny thing about art is, when is it ever done? You can always do a little bit more. I think maybe there's an argument to being over rehearsed or doing too much. I don't really ever find that. I find like you don't want to stress about it to the point where you're nitpicking everything. But I always found when, especially in the days of live auditions, I would leave that audition. Many times I would leave and then something would come to me then, or on the second day of rehearsal, I would discover something that I didn't on the first day, especially sleeping on it too. Like get it into your brain and body, especially your body, but sleeping on it and having that extra time. So it's just in you rather than your brain thinking of lines as you're saying them. You don't like when you're actually shooting it, you just want to be that character and not be thinking, what's my next line? And that all comes from preparation. And yeah, that rehearse till you can't get it wrong. Don't just rehearse till you get it right. Like you're learning the lines, learning the scene, rehearsing. And then you're like, ooh, I got it. I got through it. Well, once you add a camera and you add lights and you add some time pressure, then that'll all go out the window if you haven't done it until you can't get it wrong. So let's move to audition day. So today's the day you booked your session with Actors Audition Club with your session director or with your buddy at home. And so first thing at some point during the day or before the audition? Did you schedule a physical voice speech workout warm up? Did you get in your body? Did you warm up your instrument? Or did you just go into this cold where your voice isn't warm, your body's not warm? And there's a million. I mean, we can share some of those voice and speech warm-ups. Chances are, if you've taken any kind of conservatory training or studied with an acting coach, you may have some of those examples. But even if it's just a truncated one, like a little 15-minute thing, that'll make you feel way more prepared and way more in the moment and relaxed. I think that's a big part of doing your physical voice and speech warm-up, is getting to the point where you're also relaxed. So everything is ready to rock. Like even like little face things where you're just like getting your body activated and just like, oh, okay, I feel alive, versus did you roll out of bed still half asleep, and then you're attempting to tape an audition at 9 a.m. with no warm-up, no vocal warm-up, no physical warm-up. Like even things like going for a walk, going for a jog. A lot of people like to go to the gym first so that they're fully activated. You got fresh blood, you got fresh oxygen in your brain and in your body. I think all that stuff makes a huge difference. So yeah, get that warm up in early on.
Is hair and makeup camera ready? Do you look like your headshot? You were asked to audition partially because of your look and how you look in your headshot, and what you're able to do in previous tapes, and what you're able to do on your demo reel. And does that look like your headshot or demo reel when you're doing the audition? Like that is a critical part. Making sure that you, and like actors are very obsessed with their hair naturally. And so like making sure that you look good is also a huge benefit, and is a huge confidence boost when you are filming your audition. So
yeah, it's a look good, feel good thing.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. This one goes first in this section, but did you set your mindset, your intentions, some form of visualization, meditation, affirmation, monitoring your self-talk? I think that goes huge. That pays dividends. And I think the biggest thing is it's about feeling the good feelings. Like if this goes perfectly, what is this going to feel like? What is this going to look like? Much like an Olympic athlete, like a skier, for example, they're going to be on race day visualizing every turn, every move, or a gymnast is going through every part of their routine. And really our body and our brain and our subconscious doesn't know the difference between doing it for real and rehearsing it. So the more you can get your mindset into this is going to go great. This is going to be a fully expressive, unique audition to me. I'm fully prepared. I'm going to nail every beat, and being able to walk yourself through the feelings and through the moves. Tom likes to talk about having destinations in a scene as well. So those destinations, they might be events in the scene where there's big things that happen that change. Those could be visual architecture moves that you do that are more a visual viewpoint, where you're matching something physical to the words or doing some kind of physical move. Oh, this is the part, this is the scene where we're at the dance hall, so I'm going to do my little spin move right here, just so you have almost like a series of checkpoints throughout the scene and throughout the audition, but going through all of this before in your pre-performance mental mindset visualization / meditation. That I think that's huge. And the affirmations come from, like, a lot of people's anxiety just really comes from their own brain saying shitty things to them, like, oh shit, I hope I don't forget my lines. Oh shit, I hope I'm prepared enough. Oh, what will they think of me? I hope he likes this. Or, oh, I don't know if I can really do that. Am I going to be able to cry right then? Or, oh, how's this scene going to go? Like all those doubts and negative things, whether it's walking on stage in a live play, in a live performance, or walking onto camera for an audition or on set. what's going through your mind is going to determine your self-talk is going to have a massive impact on you. So just getting control of the psychology of things before you walk into that audition is huge.
You take the next one.
Did you use a professional studio, either your home studio or your go-to self-tape studio like Actors Audition Club here? Professionals look professional. There's a difference between looking at a tape that has proper lighting, proper sound, clean, non-distracting backdrop versus did you shoot it in your bedroom with dirty laundry and your cat in the background and the lighting shitty because you don't really have lights and you're jimmy rigging lamps, or you're trying to use natural light, but the time of day is not the best time of day. I think that really comes down to a lot of this is people trying to get the most by doing the least instead of trying to get the most by doing the most. Raise your personal standards. Tom often says, raise your personal standards to the heavens. If you're looking to be an A-lister lead actor, you're looking for a career that's going to change your life, change your family's life, being a lead player in movies and films and plays. But at the same time, you're trying to do the minimum. It doesn't add up where you're like, oh, well, I don't want to invest in myself, and I don't want to invest in a studio and a reader and a director and a coach. I'm just going to do it all for the minimum standard. It's like, yeah, that might work. Good luck with that. But I think it's about how do I do the most and be my best in this scenario so that I can showcase my best as a professional. And I think if you're starting out and you're newer, you might not realize what you're going up against, or you might not realize what is a professional standard. But I'll tell you, the second a casting director or assistant or producer casting a thing sees an unprofessional either headshot or an unprofessional audition, it's just you're not going to be in the same category as someone who looks like a professional actor submitting a professional audition. And I'm not saying you need to spend thousands and thousands of dollars, but that means getting your home studio set so it looks professional on camera, or investing in a professional studio like Actors Audition Club, where you have a professional reader, you have a professional director giving you notes and giving you feedback and other ideas. The idea that two brains, if they're both professionals, two brains are going to be better than one. I don't know that two brains are better than one if you're getting it from your brother who is not an actor and has never worked in casting or never worked on a set. And I think that's just, it happens too often where, like, think about this. Every movie or television show that you love, it had professional actors and it had a professional crew. So why are you thinking that you're going to break into that industry using someone who's not a professional, not using professional lighting, not using a professional coach? It just, again, it doesn't add up. Like, if you have those top level aspirations, your behavior and your prep and all the things that you do have to be at a professional level, or it's not going to be there. So get that professional studio set up at home or somewhere else.
Mm-hmm. Do you have proper framing? If you're doing two scenes, maybe you want to switch things up. As Lars said at the top of this, most auditions are going to be in a medium close. So you're going to get shoulders, you're going to get your chest in there, but you're not going to get much else. And maybe if you're doing two scenes, maybe you switch that up. Maybe you do the first scene as a close-up, and then the second one is a little bit more wide. Or if you have a little bit more movement in a scene, you do want to shoot that in a little bit more of a wide shot. So that way you get more of what you're doing. So you get the physicality of what's going on. And like, the bigger you are, you want to take in like a wider frame. And like, that's very important. And so making sure, especially when you're doing your text analysis and you're prepping for your audition, to have that in the back of your mind, like, ooh, it would be really cool if we shot it like this. It would be really great if we shot this scene in a medium close, and then the second scene we shot in an even further shot, or maybe the second scene's more of a close-up and more of an intimate scene. And so you want to get that, you want to get your face in the camera. and make sure that that's where that is. And just to go into the next point as well, have your eye lines mapped out. Make sure that when you go in there, you know how many people you're talking to in the scene, so that way you have things planned out. You want people to be just to the left or the right of camera, right? And so that way your eye line is almost perfectly in view. We can always see your eyes. Eyes are the window to the soul, and we want to see that on film. We want to make sure that you're always in frame of the camera, so that way we can see everything that you're experiencing at that point in time. And like that'll make your audition so much more richer as well. And just having those ideas mapped out will elevate your audition and make you so much more effective when you're shooting that audition.
Right. I just want to go back to framing, and what I'm about to say applies to a lot of these points, but a lot of it is properly reading and following instructions from casting. Not that you need to be limited by those instructions, but you use those as a jumping off point. So if it does say, hey, we want everyone to frame this because of the nature of the scene, we want everyone to frame it waist up, or it might say a medium close up, which is generally like sternum up. Listen to those instructions, but it doesn't mean that you have to stand there and never move in a still static medium close up. We talk about finding visual architecture. So maybe you can enter a little deeper in frame so that you have that nice big wide. And again, I'll use the example, say the scene was at a wedding dance. If it's a big wedding scene, maybe in a wide, you can dance your way over to the person that you're going to be talking to, find your mark, plant in a nice medium close up, have the scene, and then at a real critical moment, a big line in the scene or a big beat in the scene, maybe that's when you come in for a real impactful close up as well. So it's some of that framing it's first follow instructions, so you're doing what they ask you to do, but then how can you better tell the story through some visual architecture, and knowing that if you are in a close up, you can't be moving around in a close up. So if you do need to move and you want to do something more physical after a close up, you're going to need to back up into a medium or into a wide. If it's a physical, like say there was a close up scene, but then you break into a fight with your scene partner and you need to choreograph a little stage combat stuff. Well, you can't do that in a close up because it's just going to be this weird head moving around that just doesn't sit well in a close up. So have your close up moment, boom, we're going to fight. And then it's back up into a frame that you can actually play some fighting and play some physicality. And the eye lines, I love what you said about eye lines, having those mapped out. Again, you're telling the story, and being mindful of keeping it all like, it's probably 90 degrees. It's like 45 this way, 45 that way. So everything's here, so that when it's often people will make the wrong choice if it's something that's not the main character, like someone you yell to someone off camera or you look out a window. Well, don't look out the window here. And Tom Todoroff will tell us no one ever gets cast by how beautiful their left ear is. Eyes are the window to the soul. Or you see a dead body on the ground. Well, you can't make the dead body directly here, because what are you seeing? You're seeing my forehead. So it's cheating some of those eye lines. I can look at, if I see someone that I don't want to see and I look over here, you don't see any of my reaction to that. You can't see my eyes. You don't see how I feel about it. But if I'm here talking to you and then it's, oh shit, this guy's like, you actually can see my reaction to that. So it's, your eye lines will allow you to play beats and playable moments for the camera that if you had different eye lines, they miss that whole moment. So especially moments of discovery where you're seeing things for the first time. You see your first love, you see your arch enemy, you see something horrific happen. Well, you can't see that not looking where the camera's going to see your eyes. Otherwise, they miss it all.
Yeah. You
right.
Also, just to go back to the eyeline point, especially when you're doing car scenes, and a lot of actors get tripped up by this. There's several different opportunities for you to have several different eye lines, and it's not just I'm talking to you right here because this is how it's supposed to look. You also have a rear view mirror that you can look up and look at the person and see them in the rear view mirror. Or what Tom does recommend is that you curve a little bit more to the side. So that way, when you are you still have a good frame here. And like we can still see you in camera and we're still at a 45-degree angle. But then you can also look over here and just cheat it a little bit. So that way you are looking over, but you're open. You're open to camera. Right. And so we do recommend doing that because like a lot of actors will come in and be like, okay, so I'm talking to the person in the right beside me right here. And as Lars said, and as Tom likes to say, no one's getting cast by how sexy your left ear is. Right. So making sure that you're following those steps, and that'll really help you. So you do have several different ways to play out car scenes.
Right. Yeah. Car scenes are very common, and that is a big trap. Or like we're sitting on a park bench talking to each other, and that's where starting to understand camera and production really helps. Like if you've been on a set where they've shot something in a car, they're probably having a car mount on the hood of the car into the through the window. They might have the camera inside on the dash, looking in a 2-shot, looking at both of you. But then they're going to have a car mount on the passenger side, where the camera will be on the passenger side, so that when I do look to my passenger, they're seeing me, or an over-the-shoulder dirty shot with them, and then they'll switch it up. Mm-hmm. But if I play it in Audition where the camera is here, none of this dialogue is going to land. So you gotta play it, let them see you, and just remember, like, what is an audition? Letting them see and hear you is a big part of it. So yeah, like you said, find if I'm the driver, for example, and I'm here might be looking out the front window, and then just cheat there. I'll just make this my passenger rather than all the way over here. And then here, there's the rear view up there. Yeah. Maybe there's my side view out here. If I want to do something, kids are acting up, maybe I'll do a quick look over my shoulder, but not much of that, because what's the point of me saying, hey kids, quiet down? It would be better to play that into the rear view and be like, why I swear to God, if you don't stop doing that, I'm going to turn this car around. So it's just figuring out those eye lines and just cheating them a little bit. But the bottom line is, if they can't see your eyes, you probably want to adjust your eye line. Yes. All right, let's bring that back up. Strong beginnings and endings. Now we're not going to go through everything. Like if you're a student with Tom Todoroff, or you have your own acting coach or acting teacher, Tom speaks of the guideposts through the Michael Shirtliff's book Audition. So we're going through all of those guideposts in every scene to figure out how much can we pack into this. But I would say we've got some of the biggest things on this list, and one of those is strong beginnings and strong endings. So do you have a moment before? Do you have a strong last look or a button? Those are also moments where you can stand out, because you might have a moment before that no one else did. You might have an improvised button or a last look or a line that no one else has. So it's like, stand by. Brandon, you want to pick that up? I got someone at the door.
Yep. Okay. Making sure that you have making sure that you have those strong beginnings and endings will really elevate your auditions. Tom Todoroff always likes to say, work on the beginning more than you work on anything else, because that's the first thing we're seeing of you. And when we're working with actors at Actors Audition Club, I'm always very conscious of, I want to either laugh, I want to have some sort of experience when I first see you. And that's why Michael Shirtliff talks about the moment before, making sure that you understand that each scene happens in the middle of something. So that way, you're coming into this ready to go. And like, you have this past life that you've just experienced. And now you're coming in and you're hot. You're having fun with it because now you're just enjoying everything that's going on. And like, having a strong ending, make it something interesting. Make something happen there. I always love when someone like either like does something unexpected, add danger, add an opposite, whatever it is to make things work for you and make sure that it's justified by the scene. There's a lot of times where people will come in and like they want to do something super cool, but it's like it doesn't really work for the story that we're telling. So make sure that those strong beginnings and endings are really serving the character, serving you as the performer. So that way you're excited about coming in to do this audition because you've planned out and like have these ideas of such a rich beginning and such a fantastic ending. And like, that really helps you leave the audition at the door. So that way, when you are doing this audition, you know you've done your absolute best. You know you've done everything that you need to do to elevate and make the audition uniquely yours.
Yeah, this strong beginnings and endings, like this is human psychology. We remember what happens first. It's called the primacy effect, and we remember what happens last, the recency effect. Everything in the middle, if there's something that's gonna, like if you're gonna drop a word or maybe you got a little fuzzy mouth on a word, not that you really want that at all, but don't make that happen on your first line or your last line. You don't want to get people. You don't want to be caught as the actor turning off and on. Like, also part of this comes in editing. Yeah. It's like I wouldn't edit a tape where the first 2 seconds are me getting ready and then action and then I spring to life. You don't want to see an actor turn off and on. It's just the fade comes up, your face comes up, and boom, full tilt boogie, and not warming up into it. Like, okay, the first line was a little shaky, then the second line was a little stronger, and by the third line, okay, he's really into it and he's got it up to speed. It's like a singer. If the first note out of a singer's mouth in a strong performance is off or weak or shaky, it's done. Like, audition over, performance over. No one's thinking like, oh, that was bad, but it got better. It's just they're going to be thinking, that, and then especially the last note, that big booming note in a musical that someone nails. Well, if the last note sucks, what do you think the people will think? They're like, ooh, that was, even if every note was perfect and they were incredible, first note bad, last note bad, in my head, the whole thing sucked. And that's just how we are as humans. So, and another note with endings too, I think a lot of the times people are in a rush to leave frame. Nobody's going to get cast by how well you can do this. And I think a lot of actors are psyched out by it. Said, oh, he leaves. It's like, you don't need to leave for your audition. Maybe if there's something that you can really do that adds to the story on your, like how you leave, or a last look as you're leaving, you still have eyes on your scene partner. That's a cool way. But if it's just turn and leave, then I would just stay there. You think about TV scenes or like walk and talk scenes. Usually they're holding on. Yeah, maybe one character did leave, but they're usually holding on one character, and they're holding on that character's look, and they're getting the last beat of how do I feel about how that just went? How do I feel about that person? Maybe I have a little private moment. Maybe I was saying something like maybe I was bullshitting that person, but then they walk away and I exhale, and then my true feelings come out about that person as they leave. Let casting have that last look at you. Don't be in a rush to leave. Strong beginnings, strong endings. It's such a huge thing. And that's the part where you can have fun. You can be creative and have fun and stand out in a scene that way by writing your own beginning and ending, like not completely writing out of the blue, as Brandon said, but something that makes sense to the scene, something that adds to the scene. If you're a comedy person, adding that last funny button, give yourself the last line, have the confidence to do that. A players, lead players, people that they're building movies and series around are the types of people who aren't afraid to throw in a line that they thought of on the spot that's good. Like if the director didn't say cut, what happens next? And throw that beat in there. So now all of a sudden, compared to everyone else, you showed them a brilliant opening beat and a brilliant end beat that maybe wasn't in the script and no one else did. Everyone else was just there, and then they rushed off screen because they didn't want to be seen. That alone makes a huge difference. So up next here, we'll finish off these last few here. These are fairly straightforward. And again, a lot of these are following directions. But at the end of the session, do you have a strong take of each scene that you needed? Strong is up for debate, but is it filled with as many colors or as many notes versus it being one noted where, oh, this is the scene where I'm angry and I yelled every line, or this is the scene where I'm sad and I'm just crying the whole time. You want to pack as much into it, show them as much of you. How do you feel about everything versus just painting it with a vanilla paintbrush and everything's just kind of meh. It's just pack as much of it of you and pack as much storytelling into each scene so that okay, I've got 3 strong takes. Also, the other thing to think about too is if they've given you 3 scenes, chances are those 3 scenes are different and they need to see 3 different things. And it's usually an arc in the episode or in the movie. This is the scene where you're being buddy and this is friendly and really comedic and lighthearted. But then there's a scene where this is where the shit hits the fan and things get a little dark and things get a little dramatic and the energy shifts. So if you play those 2 scenes the same, they're not seeing the character arc and you're not really doing your job as a storyteller. So just understand that and be on the lookout for where are the subtle differences and changes. Why have I been given these 3 scenes? And what can I be doing differently in these 3 scenes? How has this arc changed? And then they look at you and they're like, oh shit, that first scene made me laugh and I loved it. And then fucking the 3rd scene, the guy ripped my heart out in that scene. I watched that and I was destroyed by the end of it. Like that kind of arc, you take someone on that emotional ride throughout your 2-3 scenes. Just way stronger than if you just here's me saying the lines in all 3 scenes. So I can memorize words, not what they're looking for. Next.
Did you record a confident, relaxed slate? Follow instructions. Each casting director has their own specific instructions for their slate. And sometimes it's more complicated and sometimes it's very easy. But make sure that you're following those instructions because that's very crucial to seeing who you are. And like we've seen this character, we've seen your interpretation of the character, but now we're just looking at Joe Lars Larson or we're just looking at Brandon Knox, and we want to get a sense of who you are and just like saying your name and like in a happy-go-lucky way, or like whatever works for you, or in a more professional manner. Right. And sometimes there's camera movement. Sometimes they want a full body slate. Sometimes they don't specify, and they don't really. They've seen you before, so it doesn't really matter. But make sure that you're following those instructions. And a little tip especially when it does say full body, you can just go to your knees. They don't need to see your feet or your shoes or the floor. As long as you get to the knees, you'll be fine. So just make sure that you're doing that. Sometimes there's like specific close-ups, or like they want to start with a close-up of your hands and then move into a wider shot. Do what you can. Do as much as you can with the equipment that you have on you. Maybe you step in close for your hand close up, and then you move back so that way they have more of a picture of you, so that they get more of an idea of what you look like fully.
Right.
So just like little tips and tricks for slating, but make sure that they see who you are and just have fun with it.
Yeah, again, follow instructions. If they ask for certain things, like do you have a driver's license, or sometimes they might ask for your union number.
Yeah.
Making sure that you're following those so that your agent doesn't have to then follow up, or casting doesn't have to reach out and be like, does this guy actually have a driver's license? Because he needs to. Because what if they're just like, you know what, I don't have time to ask. Let's just put him in the no pile. Don't give him a reason to pass you over. I think don't overthink the slates. Sometimes people are like really worried about them. I think remember to breathe, remember to smile. People sometimes ask, am I slating in character, out of character? I think the energy of the character can be there. Like if it's a loosey-goosey, happy-go-lucky guy, then I wouldn't be slating as a real nervous, anxiety-riddled human being. But also it's like a slate is you as a human being, like a little bit of what is it going to be like to work with Brandon? So, I mean, for me, I usually like to smile and be friendly and confident. I would also watch your body language, like this, or some people are hands in their pockets, or their arms behind. I feel like just hands relaxed by your side is the most comfortable way to do it. It's like standing confidently. But yeah. I think that's all we need to say about that. And personally, unless they say particularly front slate, we're big fans of tail slate. So let their first impression be your first moment before, and that great opening to that first scene, versus, hi, my name is blah, 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 blah. Put the slate at the end. And me personally, I because a lot of times I'm going out for comedic roles, if there's a little callback or something I can say, or like a catchphrase from one of the scenes, I might just throw that in at the end of my slate, just as a little like wink and gun to the camera, and just like, yeah, I'm goofing around. A lot of times people are afraid to do that. It's like, if I think something's funny and I want to be fun and play a little bit, I'm not going to be thinking, oh, I hope casting isn't mad at me for being playful and fun. Oh no, like I'm not thinking that. It's just like, hey, this is me, and throw in a little button, or sometimes you might get an extra read on a line that was in the script, and they might like, oh fuck, the way he said that in that slate, that's exactly how we want him to say that line. So almost like a little callback too. You can play with that stuff. Did you edit the file properly? So this again is just instructions. I can go through all this stuff, Brandon, if you want to add to anything. Do they want it in one file? Do they want it in separate files? Do they want a front slate? Do they want a tail slate? Are they named correctly? Actor name, role, projects. Again, certain casting places, they'll be like, this is how we want the files labeled. And that might seem like anal, or it might seem like, oh, well, who cares? But you got to think of it from their terms. If they're looking at 500 of these and they're all named differently, and they're looking at the files on a hard drive or in their directory or in casting workbook or Actors Access, if they're named the way they asked you to name them, then their system of keeping everyone organized is going to be intact, and they're going to be thankful to you for following the directions. And you just immediately come across as a person who doesn't fuck shit up by not following directions. Like, don't make it harder. Again, be a partner, not a project. So don't be the guy like, we haven't even cast you yet, and we've had to send your agent 3 emails because you named it wrong. You sent us one file instead of separate files, and you didn't include the information we needed in the slate. Well, guess what? If you're one of 500 people, it's easier to throw you in the no pile than it is to track down you and your agent. So it's just, that's how it is. So don't expect that you're going to get all that extra energy and people are going to be taking the time out of their day to hunt you down to figure out what you actually should have just done on your own. And are they uploaded and emailed to the proper destination before the deadline? So last thing you got to do, you got to upload them to Casting Workbook, to Actors Access. You got to email them to casting, to your agent. And a lot of this stuff too, if anyone's watching this and you're like, this is just too much technical stuff, this is one of the brilliant things about paying and investing in yourself and investing in a professional studio or a professional helper, because like, you don't need to worry about your framing and slate here at Actors Audition Club, because we shoot it for you. You don't have to worry about file naming or file transfer or getting it to the right spot, because we do all that for you. So that really all you need to do is worry about your prep, and you need to worry about your performance on the day, and we take care of all that stuff for you. So huge advantage to offloading some of those technical things and having a camera person who knows what they're doing, having an editor who knows what they're doing. All right. That's that was a lot there. Yeah. And we'll wrap it up. Post audition. Did you confirm that your files are uploaded and received? So like whatever system you have between you and your agent, or even on the casting sites, did you get that? Congratulations, we have received your audition? Or did you get the follow-up email from your agent saying, got it, confirmed? Or maybe you upload to the site and then you send a message to your agent saying, heads up, it's there now. Let me know if you need anything else. Thanks for the opportunity. A great thing to do is spend some time journaling and reflecting on your performance. How did you feel? How did that go? What did you do well? What could you have improved? Getting some of that feedback, not that you want to dwell on it forever, but you want to give a little post game, just like people do in sports. They watch the tape, they watch the performance, they reflect, they make some notes, think back to your preparation, be like, you know what, my voice wasn't quite there. Did I do a warm up? No, I didn't. Maybe I need to do that more. Or shit, once I got into the audition room, I was having trouble with those lines. Maybe the amount of prep that I did running the lines wasn't enough. Note to self, next time I'm going to schedule more rehearsal time and more prep time. Just again, what can you improve next time? And the final thing is celebrating your audition victory, seeing yourself as an audition professional, seeing the audition itself as a performance and as an opportunity for you to create as an artist, and then treating yourself to some kind of celebration. You want to go get yourself some ice cream or maybe something healthier, whether it's a treat or you go out for a movie, go, if you're a shopper, go buy yourself a little something, but just, or maybe it's just spending time with your family or spending time with another actor, friend of yours, who's invested in your success. And you're like, you know what, let's go out for a coffee and celebrate this one, because I feel really good about this. You're doing great work. I'm doing great work. Success. And seeing your best performance in the audition as the success and as the end goal, versus the only success being, did I book it or not? Mm-hmm. Because by the numbers, most of them you're not going to book. So if every time you don't book something, you're devastated and you're crushed, what you want is, hey, that was my best performance, my best preparation. I did everything I can. That's my interpretation of the story. You book me for that. That's pretty close to what I'm going to do. Obviously, when I get more time and more preparation and more notes from director and casting, it's going to be even better. But that's me now. I'm happy. I can wash my hands of it. That's the victory. And you want me? Book me. Great. But I did my job there. That is your job early on. Your job is to be an audition professional, to create a performance, show them your performance, and then walk away from it and let them do what they need to do.
Yeah.
Anything you want to add to post audition?
No, that was well said. Yeah.
So thank you, everyone. What we'd encourage you guys to do is use this audition checklist as your jumping off point. feel free, reach out to us, shoot us a DM on Instagram at Actors Audition Club if you think there's anything you missed, or if you have things in your preparation or things in your process that you want to share that you think will help others. Shoot us a DM and we can update that list, or you can send us an email at lol@laughingvikings.com. And for any of you right now, after all that, if you're feeling overwhelmed and you're like, shit, I don't do any of that stuff, I need help with this. Well, good news is you can join Actors Audition Club. What we do here at Actors Audition Club is we help actors shoot professional auditions without having to bug your family and friends, without the tech and stress, tech troubles or stress and anxiety that a lot of people have, so that you can really just focus on your craft, focus on your performance, elevate your auditions and your performances in your auditions, so that ultimately you can book your dream role and book more roles in TV, film, and theater. That is what we do. So if you want to learn more about how to be a part of Actors Audition Club in 2023, so that you can elevate your game and book that dream role, go to laughingvikings.com/join, and you can find more information about Actors Audition Club. And this says waitlist. You can actually join right now by going to laughingvikings.com/AAC. And you can skip the wait list. The enrollment is open, so you can become a member right now if this is resonating with you and you're like, oh, I could use some of this help. We connect with actors via Zoom internationally. We have members all over the world that when they get an audition, they book one of our session directors and we help them remotely. And we've got actors right now here in our Toronto studio who work with us in person. So no matter where you are, we can help. You can go to Actors Audition Club. The enrollment page is at laughingvikings.com/AAC, or you can try /join. I forget if join is the wait list right now or if it's the actual enrollment page. But no time like the present. You want to get involved and you want to elevate things, then hop on board and join a community of international actors working professionally who are all growth-minded. Our community is incredible. We got tons of incredible session directors and tons of incredible actors doing amazing things. And just remember, your life and your career can change any day. The right actor meets the right audition and the right role. And yeah, you want to have the commitment and the tenacity to do this for your entire life. But you also got to realize that your next opportunity that comes from your agent could be a game changer. It could be a life changer. So you got to ask yourself, are you seizing those opportunities by being your best self each and every day? And that's what we strive to do here at Actors Audition Club.
Yeah.
So make sure to subscribe as well. Thank you. This has been episode 128. Smash that subscribe button. Share this out with other professional actors in your network. If you want to help them elevate their own auditions and help them improve their career and book more roles in TV, film, and theater. Thank you so much. Thank you, Brandon. And we will see you next week.
Goodbye, goodbye, goodbye.
Bye.
Bye.